Yeah, I told the team if we make playoffs, we're making the event. So that's my confidence level. But
Hey guys, this is Pedro back with another interview. This time covering VCT Ameicas Stage 1 for Week 5. My guest at this time is Ethan of NRG, coming off of their match against Leviatan, in which they came out victorious and, of course, secured their progression to the playoffs phase of said competition. So, Ethan, thank you so much for the opportunity. Congrats on the W. Congrats on moving on the playoffs. Congrats on everything. Just want to ask you, just sort of first and foremost, the usual question: how are you feeling?
feeling good, feeling a little bit relieved for right now in the moment. Just breaking into playoffs. But we all know we have a long road ahead of us.
For sure. I mean, it was definitely a much needed victory given the state of the team in the past few weeks. Losing to the likes of MIBR and G2, two pretty strong teams in their own right. But nevertheless, it kind of felt like there was like a little bit of pressure for this team, given the state. And so, I mean, how good does this must feel for you guys to not only bounce back with a W, but also make playoffs at the same time?
Yeah, definitely like a really good match to win. Breaking into playoffs aside, the way we played today was very, I guess, motivational for us. We played, even though the first map was really close and the second one was not a complete stomp. Um, Everyone played with a lot of energy, a lot of confidence, and most importantly, I think, especially for the second map, we each played and everyone just trusted each other. I think that was a big thing. That's something we've been working on a lot, um, and hopefully that kind of catapults us into playoffs.
Oh, for sure. I mean, definitely. It had like a little bit of a scare, especially on that first map in which, I mean, you guys were on the march to force overtime, and then like kind of gone to multiple rounds on that latter stage, but then ultimately you guys came out of it on top. Just kind of walk me through the craziness of Fracture. How difficult of a challenge that was for you guys to take on Leviathan, and they're kind of like approach to the game with their role changes and their constant like adjustments throughout the season. How difficult was that first map?
Yeah, it was pretty hard. I think on attack, we the first half we made some critical errors that we have things set in place basically that we just shouldn't make those errors, and we did anyway. So those rounds to us weren't terrible. It was kind of on us that we lost the rounds. So we honestly, even though the game was so close, we felt in charge the whole game. I think our coach Mike had some really good pauses at the end. I took one in OT, and then I think one or two leading up to OT, and he was correct every time. So yeah, big props to him. He was a huge part of getting to OT to begin with, and then winning it. But yeah, first map was to us not as close as it seemed.
Yeah, and like from the outside though, it kind of looked like that. Like maybe we might have seen a continuation of the kind of like tight affair in that second map, but then you guys busted out that composition for Icebox, the triple flashing type of thing. Mata already talked about it in the broadcast in which the team got inspiration for adopting that composition from his prior team in Moist Shopify. I believe that's the right team. And yeah, like just want to ask you about it. What was your thoughts about the change and how effective that was for you guys against Leviathan on Icebox?
Yeah, it's a very simple idea for the comp. Basically, just bombard them with flashes, and it helps us, especially me, Brock, and Mata. We play very loose in that comp, and I think that's kind of amplifies our playstyle a bit. So, and also it complements the map too. Icebox is very simple, so keeping it dumbed down and while also being really comfortable with what you're doing is really important to us.
I mean, since the map was still at a stalemate at the end of the first half. You guys were able to pull away on defense side in the second half. Not basically allowing Leviathan to win more than 2 rounds at the very most. And like, do you see this effectiveness of the composition in on defensive side, or or maybe do you find kind of see the effectiveness on both sides of the server? What do you kind of look at that aspect?
Yeah, I think it's good on both. I think as long as everyone on the team plays with confidence and both like as a team also, every agent complements each other so well. So yeah, as long as everyone's playing as a team, that comp really shines.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and of course, I got to ask you about like the individual contribution of Mata. Of course, in a lot of ways, this team isn't able to move forward as an if it wasn't for the play of Mata because why you got to have duelists like that. And so, like, talk to me about like his contribution and his performance on Icebox and how that kind of like set the tone for how this result was going to play out at the very end.
Yeah, I think that map and that comp is perfect for him. He's very confident in what he wants, and we have all the tools to give it to him basically. So and also that agent is you're able to take over on Reyna. So that plus the support he gets, it was good.
Yeah, and like another aspect that I want to ask you about when it comes to like the significance of this result is just the fact that making playoffs. And I mean we got to look at 2023 in which, or maybe 2024. I think the previous time you guys in which this team made playoffs was in kickoff. I might be wrong on that. I can double check myself after this recording. But what I'm trying to get at is it's been a long time since this team and also yourself has been in the second phase of a given regular season. And you know walk me through the journey to make this point, and given the constant adjustments you and the team has had to make, from point A to point B.
Yeah, we've made a lot of revisions over the season. We've kind of started off probably on the wrong foot, just with ideas and the system in place on the team, and we've had to adjust that over the weeks, over the losses. So we're finally, I think, on the right track, and I think we have a good system in place. We just got a couple more tweaks before playoffs, obviously, and it helps you kind of know the two teams you could play. So that helps too, and it gives us a little bit of time.
I gotta ask you sort of about like the season that has been for this team. Talking about regular season for stage one. I mean, it's fair to say there's been plenty of like attention towards how this team has been performing and how like difficult it was at times for you guys to go through the struggles. Obviously, I'm looking at, of course, losing to MIBR and G2, and also Cloud9 at the very beginning of this stage. How do you kind of look back on this past regular season and the difficulty of it all? What do you feel has been the biggest challenge that the team has to kind of go through in the lead up to this current point of the year?
Uh, yeah, I mean, seasons where you make a roster change in the middle is pretty hard to like pinpoint one thing. 'Cause a lot of a lot of stuff changes when you make a roster change. But I'd say just how the team structure works. It's changed a lot in the last like 2 or 3 weeks, both on um just who just mid rounding and a lot of stuff like that. I've been given a lot more freedom to mid rounds in the last week or two. So that opens up my game. We really prioritized Mata just locking in and doing his job. I think that's really complimented him, and everyone else basically just knows they're part of the team now. And I don't think that was set, um, you know, like 2 weeks ago, basically. So rough start for sure. Lots of things we could have changed earlier on and didn't, but we're there now, and I think it's kind of starting our stride a little bit.
Piggybacking off of what you said right there about your recent answer, I mean, now we've been able to see this version of the team, have plenty of reps on the official server. I want to ask you sort of like what do you feel is the biggest thing or more so biggest difference in terms of like, this current version and the previous version, which it had like Brno and Bankar.
Um, last version we had two lands behind us. Very good lands. Like wins for us. Um, I think we were in a little bit of a honeymoon period, and we slowed down progression wise, and maybe maybe overcomplicated a little things. Didn't really stick to our roots and what we were really good at. Um, and then obviously making the change changes a lot. Getting Brock, he's a completely different player than Verno. Um, the role is the same, but not no two people are exactly the same. So getting him integrated with the team and figuring out what makes people play their best was a really big thing in the last like 1 or 2 weeks that we had to try to figure out.
Amidst the constant tweaking that this team has been trying to do in this stage, do you feel like now, as you guys now gear up for playoffs and await your opponent, which I believe will arrive in 2 weeks or so, do you feel like you guys are ready to go? Do you feel like now you're 100% or you're not really there yet?
Uh, I don't really know how to explain it, but basically, I think we've we've finally been able to start. Is how it feels for us this week. I think until now, until the start of this week, we were walking, and I think very recently we've started actually running and making progress.
No, for sure. Correction on what I just said. It'll still your opponent will still arrive in next week, not 2 weeks. Sorry about that. Now like as still staying on to playoffs because like, we're running out of time. Um, you guys gonna be starting off with this playoff journey in the lower bracket, and on top of that, I remember Sam said in the broadcast that the goal for stage one at the very least, or maybe at the very most, is to make playoffs, and you guys have been able to accomplish that today with this victory. What's the confidence level like for yourself for this team in regards to hopefully make a run and maybe go into to Masters?
Yeah, I told the team if we make playoffs, we're making the event. So that's my confidence level. But my mindset is, everybody in playoffs is on the same level. We all made it to the same spot, and now we're starting from zero. We gotta change, or we gotta basically think about it. Every match is do or die, which it is. So um, we're just gonna play every match like it's basically the last one, and gonna try to do our best.
For sure, and hopefully you're able to do that. Hopefully you're able to make that happen. One more question I want to squeeze in very quick. Any team you got you personally want to take on?
Hundred Thieves.
You want that revenge from the first matchup of the season, right?
Yeah, I think I just like playing them.
For sure, sweet and concise. That is expected of Ethan, and for sure, definitely looking forward to that potential matchup happening sooner rather than later, of course. And so, Ethan, thank you so much for the opportunity for the interview. Really, really appreciate it. Really appreciate the answers as well, and really appreciate seeing the team finish this season with a W. So, hopefully, you guys can continue that. And of course, best of luck goes to you for the road ahead.